Hello everyone, this is Glossius, and I'm back with another game review video. Today we'll be looking at an 8Qs game. So this one's actually a little bit special because it was actually against one of the bots that we have on Tsumego Dragon. One of the users, I don't know who, played the bot, and this was a loss, but I figured it'd be good to learn from and also to show off a feature that I am currently working on Tsumego Dragon. So this is still in progress. You can go ahead and play with it if you go to tsumegodragon.com/review, and then enter a question mark, and then OGS ID equals whatever the ID of the game is. So it is very manual because it is not ready for public release, but if you wanted to play with it, you could go ahead and do so. So what I'm working on here for the last several days has actually been getting these numbers out. So what this is pulling from is the OGS's AI bot. And what you're using to play the bots on Tsumego Dragon is actually a Tsumego Dragon account that I have that has premium support. Currently, it only has Aji right now, which is the lowest. But I think as the bots gain more tractions and game reviews gain more traction, I think I'm going to slowly update as more and more people use it. But the idea being that once you play a game, you can click a review and it'll navigate you here where you get your stats on how you performed in the game. And this does work for any OGS game that you play. However, do note that if you are not a premium subscriber on OGS, then the data you will get will basically be blank for all the AI stuff. You should still get the graph, and you can probably still get the excellent, good, and accuracy, mistake, and blunders. So you still get some of the data from your games, as long as if it has the graph on the game, you should be good to go. So if it has like this graph right here, you should be good to go. But aside from that, all the AI stuff, like the AI accuracy or whatever, that will not exist because if you're not a premium supporter on OGS, then you will not have access to this data. But on Tsumego Dragon, if you play the bots, like I'm paying for that, so feel free to use it. I think playing the bots, I think I'll just keep free forever. So if you want to play, then go ahead and play. This goes all the way up to like 9 so feel free to take advantage of this. You can play bots from 5x5, 7x7, 9x9, 13x13, 19x19 from all these levels, and get a hopefully helpful review. I am still working on it though. I do want to think about how to do the recommended puzzles. So if you have any ideas about how I can recommend puzzles, by all means, I am currently brainstorming that. But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the game. So let's go ahead and dive right into the blunders, because I think these will be the first thing that you're probably going to want to find. So on the Tsumego Dragon app, you are always black. So the user is black in this case, which would be player one. I have player one instead of black just because some games will be handicapped, so white plays first. So in that case, the names would be switched. So it looks like they played quite a while, actually, without a blunder. 105 moves. What about mistakes? 131. There we go. Okay, so wow, they actually did quite well. They played 37 moves with only an inaccuracy. So let's go ahead and see what the game looks like. So I'm kind of curious to see how this will go and how accurate it is. I do have like some formulas in here to try to get the data as close to helpful as I can. It does look like from the graph the game was quite good actually for quite a while, but then it started to... No, it was actually going in black's favor. This is something I probably need to be more clear about. This score is relative to black's score, so this is always going to be from your perspective since you're black on my site, but the idea is positive is black has more, a negative is black has less, so it's always black's score. So it looks like the person was winning for a good while actually. Yeah, so this makes sense that their game was so good until like 100 moves. And it looks like they actually had a victory for 40 points ahead. And then it just kind of went downhill. So I think this would be the key part to focus on is this little downhill drop right here. But I'm curious how they did with the opening so well. So let's see what happens. So again, we're reviewing for black. Okay. Interesting. I actually don't know how the single-digit Q bots will play. I know they're strong enough that they can beat single-digit Qs, but okay. I'm surprised that this. I'm surprised that it did this. Maybe it can't handle this variation, but I'm really surprised. So I'm like, sometimes I'll see this and I'm like, oh, maybe the bot's overranked, so maybe I should lower it. But the results kind of speaks for itself, so you don't know. Oh, if you are a strong player, if you're like Dawn level or whatever, I encourage you to try playing, or even single digit Q. I encourage you to try playing against Fiar, or Fire. This guy is really cool because his opening is really, really terrible, but it still somehow wins because it makes like a 7 group fight in the middle game because it's always ignoring you, and so it creates this very complex middle game that's hard to keep up with. So it's going to be a very interesting game if you want to try that out. Okay, so far, Black's game is perfect. This one definitely should block the corner. Basically, this is the base for you, and also you're stopping this stone's base. If your opponent wants life, they're going to go into the corner as fast as they can. So you want to take that away from them. And if they jump back, they're still pretty unsettled. You can do that. You can make it even more unsettled like that. So I think just attacking here would be the correct move. And to do that, you need to unsettle first. Okay, so now we're getting into mistake territory, because now you can see that Black starts having some cutting points, some lifeline issues. So we're starting to get into some dangerous areas. So this can go wrong. It's still possible for Black, but it can go wrong from here if you're not careful. So I think the easy, safe approach would be better here. This is not something I can read in 5 seconds. We shall see how this goes. Interesting. Okay. So White should definitely go this way because that's the closest edge. We want to push it to the closest edge rather than pushing it out all the way over there. So I'm actually curious here about this move. And the reason I'm curious is because what I'm trying to do here is actually to squeeze these 3 stones. Because if I can squeeze these, I think I can try to not make it a ladder, but maybe I'm wrong. So if I go here, and White goes here, because White could go here, but that's just, free. So I have to go here first. Then it's 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 3. I believe the shape move in the corner is here, because there is no eye. So I believe that's the shape move. And then when we play like this, it's okay because all White gets is a squeeze, but we kill the corner, and that's a lot of points. So this is definitely not 8Q, but I saw it and my brain just couldn't look away. So I wanted to explore that, and I explored it with stones. You're supposed to do this in your head, but I explored it with the stones so you guys could see it too. But now that we've seen the complicated variation, what is a simple idea? I think just don't die with your cutting stones. I think it's very important not to lose your cutting stones. So these 2 stones are very important for keeping up White's weaknesses. However, we also need to make sure that the stones in the corner do not die, right? So these are what we got to keep track of, and it is our job to balance that. So I think if we can play a way that saves these guys, but also threatens to capture these, so that way the corner is okay, then White will be forced to save these cutting stones, and now I can come back and live. I think that is the play to make here. It's quite complicated, and I think the reason is because you got into a crosscut, which I tell my students all the time, if you're below 5Q, just don't get into this. The reading here is complicated. So getting into this crosscut where I cut you, you cut me, it's very reading intensive. It's very, very heavy reading. So you need to do lots and lots of go problems. But I think the key idea here is just to try to save all of your stuff and keep your cutting stones alive while threatening their cutting stones. All right, I think that's the key. So losing your cutting stones should be good for white. So up to here, I think is reasonable mistakes, because it's hard to understand all of this at this level. So hopefully that gives you some insight. But as you can see, it's really complicated. The big key takeaway, though, this move is very bad. Don't do this move. This is because now white gets the take. Now there's no threat over here. You're forgetting the fact that, yeah, these two stones are trapped, but you can threaten to save them. So if I go anywhere up here and I get a stone here, then I might be able to pull these out in the future. And white will have to capture them. And so, of course, white will capture them. But now I get 2 moves in a row in the top left. That is incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. So as long as you're not going to die like in the corner, as long as you don't die in the corner, you do not want to let white take those stones for free. You want that extra move. So you've actually doubled the value of those 2 stones, because getting 2 moves in a row is incredibly valuable. So you could think of it as, yes, you get those 2 stones and you get control of this area, but if I get 2 moves in a row up here, I probably cancel out at least half of it, right? Getting 2 moves in a row is very valuable. It's hard to say how much, but you can get the feeling that, hey, like this is probably going to be very manageable if I have 2 moves in a row up here. And losing that is like almost passing. You paid your opponent 1 point, maybe 2 points to pass. So that is a very bad move and bad habit that I think you should be very aware of in your games. This one is unnecessary. This is something that takes a good bit of practice, but if you're reviewing your games, especially if you're reviewing with the AI here, I wonder, this is move 39. What is 39? It's probably an inaccuracy, I would guess. No, not even inaccuracy. Wait, no, I want 41, not 39. 41. Okay, inaccuracy 41. Yeah. Okay. So this is technically what this level needs to be learning soonish. Of course, the blunders and mistakes are where you got to really focus your efforts and studies, but little things like this can add up. So if you're like 5Q plus or just want some small improvements to your game, the way you can lower this number is just kind of keep in mind if you have to do something. You kind of want to get it in your head that you always want to leave first. You always want to play somewhere else first. Okay. So the question is, why are you not playing somewhere else first? And then once you realize that, hey, I can't play because of this weakness, then you want to try to find a way to fix that weakness in Sente. So this is like some advanced Q stuff, but it's what Q players have to learn at some point. Otherwise, they can't transition into Dawn level. And it's really hard to get that sharpness down to just always be trying to keep Sente or the initiative. And this is kind of one of those things where it's like, yes, you connected your stuff and you're strong, but did you need to connect your stuff? So let's check. So if I go play a big move, because that would be very valuable, and then white tries to cut me, because I don't want to get cut, right? Now I cannot cut right here, or I cannot capture these right here because of this. This is scary. It's too complicated. It's not good. I'm just going to die. So I'm just going to crawl. And I would expect this to be too difficult to read out. So all I'm going to do is put some stones in a straight line. I think that one's pretty easy to visualize for most people. So the only thing you have to worry about is the corner going to die in a straight line? Because we know white can't live like this. White would need so many stones in a row to live, and that's just not going to happen. So the only thing I have to be concerned about is the corner life and death. So if white goes here and I go here, then white goes here. It does look like a life and death problem for me. So in this case, probably you can't play this way. But if you can develop your reading, in my mind, this looks like an I versus a no I, or an I versus an I. One I versus no I should win the capture race. An I versus an I can sometimes lead to a mutual life. But the fact that you get to start it first, so that means it's 4 to 1, 2, 3, 4 plus an approach move. this sort of approach move. This is something to keep an eye on. I'm playing way too complicated in this video. But the idea of an approach move is if that becomes a self threat, then you have to fix first and then do it, which means it's a bonus lifeline. It's like an invisible bonus lifeline because they have to have an approach move. Okay, so basically the big key here is the capture race. If you read that you win the capture race and you're like, I know I'm good, you get to leave first. So the better your life and death is, the better your capture races and squeezes and life and death. If you can combine all of that, you can just say, okay, I know I'm alive, so I can leave first. If you can't, then you have to respond, right? Don't die. Don't die is the #1 rule of Class A approach. If you die, then everything dies. You're just lose, right? So yes, if you can read better, you get more moves. But if you die, you lose. So this is probably one of those safety things. I thought this would be easier to read, but I guess not. And the only other option here would be to clamp, but unfortunately, this one just doesn't work because white can make this exchange first and then go here. However, with that being said, the corner's alive if we play this way. And if I just play her here, the left is alive, the corner's alive. Everyone's alive. So that means no one's going to die. There is no weak group. It's just a few points. If it's a few points and I can read this and make this judgment call, then the game becomes a lot easier to just play up here. So I think that kind of idea is difficult to balance. It takes a lot of judgment and a lot of practice. Some ways to improve this. Reviewing pro games, I think, can be helpful. I'd be very cautious with how much you take from the pro games because you got to remember they're reading it like perfectly. AI can give you hints, but it's not really reliable on its like Tanuki timings, Tanuki being to play elsewhere first. And that is because it can read perfectly and you can't. So it doesn't matter what the true answer is. What matters is what your answer is. And I want you to take that to heart. You're not going to play perfect go. If you're trying to play perfect go, then you're going to be very disappointed. It's just not possible. You are playing your go against your opponent, and you are trying to beat whoever you're playing. Okay? So it is up to your judgment call. Will this be acceptable in order to win this game? Because if we increase the risk and I go here and I can't read this, then I'm risking the entire game on a corner dying for a move. Instead of, I know I'm alive, I can go get more value and there's no risk. Or if you know that this variation exists, you can say, okay, I'm risking maybe 5 points and I get up here first. I think that sort of like mentality of I want to play elsewhere first, how can I like make sure that I'm not going to lose the game if I do it? And then we just try to come up with judgment calls, rules of thumb. Basically, getting cut is bad. So typically, I think this would be the response. But in this particular case, if you're alive on both sides, the cut doesn't matter. So that's the kind of the key concept here. If you're alive on both sides, the cut does not matter. I really went way too advanced in this corner, I think. I really went way over the top with this analysis. I think this is why I think you should not cross-cut at this level. There's a lot of things that are really complicated. Okay, anyway, I'll move on from that. I've already lectured enough about that. But hopefully it inspires you to play a little bit more flexibly in your games. Okay, running away is very good. I actually love this. Okay, this is not a good move. But if you don't know why it's not a good move, then you shouldn't be just ignoring it, right? If your opponents are like, I'm not going to play this because I know it's bad, but the bot's like, I don't care what society says is bad. I'm going to play it because I calculate this something another. The feelings don't matter. It's just I'm going to do it. So this is a good practice of, can you actually deal with this or not? If you can't deal with this, then you can't jump. So it gives you the practice on how to punish these mistakes that are likely not going to come up in human games because we try not to make the mistakes. But just because we don't make the mistakes doesn't mean you don't need to know how to handle them. So you need to learn how to handle these, so that way if your opponents do go crazy, then you can do it. And then, of course, if your opponents give you an opening that looks like it shouldn't work, but it does because of what you read, then you can find cool, clever moves like this. Okay, so it looks like black is going to try to connect this way. This isn't a bad idea, because what black is targeting is the corner. So black is trying to make life in the corner. I think that's a pretty good read, honestly. Typically, though, what you aim for is the counter cut and their 1-point jump. So when you connect like this, you can actually push through, and you see white's shape is getting obliterated. This stone is okay because we don't have time to save everything. But you can see that left side, super alive. Middle, the influence is there, but you also have a stone now kind of canceling it a little bit, a tiny bit. So that means in the future, you can get a move here. You can potentially get a move here if you need it. You can potentially get a move here, and they can't go there because of that. And then get that, and then even more. There's lots of ways the stone can be annoying. So yes, white is still strong here, but it's acceptable, I think, because the stone gives you a lot of future potential. I think the big rule of thumb here is that you're going to want to aim for the counter cut. So if they cut you, then you can try to cut them back. And that typically leads to a broken position for white, and all you lose is 1 stone for it. So typically it's much worse to be the one who cut first, unless the cut works and you're strong on both sides. A good rule of thumb for that, if you have no 1-point jump on either side, check. That is a good rule of thumb. If there's no cut on either side, check. This is a very nice cutting move because there's no way to connect. Actually, this is just a. Actually, I wonder if I go here, then here, and then I can't do anything else. Okay, yeah, definitely doesn't work. Here. I kind of want to go here, but yeah, nothing works, huh? And then get similar to the game. Okay, anyway, let's move on to this. This is going to be checking the life and death. This is acceptable, but with how small the space is, I would be concerned about Ko or loop. For those who don't know what the Ko is, it's an infinite loop, so the board cannot repeat. So in order to make it not the exact same, you'll need a Ko threat or a loop threat. And these sort of forcing moves can force your opponent to respond, and then you could take the loop back and the board is not the same. So these can be very important to leave on the board if you think the Ko will come up. I don't know if this will be super relevant, and this is a nice move to have, so I don't hate this move. So here is the possible Ko, but even then, I think still having the Tiger's Mouth is worth it. This is going to be painful, though. Well, no, it's not. White doesn't have any threats. White has nothing. Oh my gosh. White has no threat anywhere. So white just, like, what, surrounds the whole group? Somehow? Some big move or something? But then I can just connect and you have a weak group. So, wow. I didn't even realize black's shape is so strong. This is why defense first is so good. White has no co-threat. So, yeah, it makes sense that white would not go for the ko. Life and death here looks pretty good. I don't see anything immediately wrong with your variation. This is one of those things where I nitpick over 1 point, but it doesn't matter. So you got it. It's fine. I was thinking like here or here, and I put way too much effort trying to get 1 point more out of my position. Way too much effort. Especially since I still make 5 to 10 point mistakes all the time. So I need to focus more on not making the 5 to 10 point mistakes and not worry about the 1 point mistakes so much. This is a nice way to play on the left. I think that this is incredibly urgent, though. Like, this is insanely big because all of these white stones can die, and if they die, all of your stuff is connected. But if they're not dead and white jumps out right here, then now you have a floating group with no base or foundation, and white is living. So this is an incredibly important move. Looks like neither player sees it yet, though. Okay, looks like white does first. Okay, this is interesting. I think it'd be better to go on this side. This side is the one that's kind of attacking. Attacking in the sense that you're kind of surrounding while you're playing defense. So it's a little bit more powerful. This one is already alive, so it doesn't really do anything to the corner. Save the weak group. Very good, very good. You ignored a cutting point. I think bamboo is strong. If you desperately want to get one more line, you can go here. But I don't see any reason not to have a strong shape here. It's just good. Not getting cut is a great way to win the game. Okay, so this is tricky to judge, but we're going to say it's fine for this level. But the big judgment call is you killed the group on the left probably, but white got a ton of value for the right. So it's incredibly difficult to make that judgment call, and I've already gone enough in this video with difficult judgment calls. So we're just going to continue and say that it's probably okay. I think I would go here. I don't know. My first instinct's there, but also worry about this peep, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, looks like everything's good. I don't see any obvious mistakes. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, we're still good. Okay, sorry. I was reading it. How was I reading it? Yeah, no, Black's right. I'm just silly. What? Uh-oh. More capture race go problems. That is what I'm seeing here. More capture race go problems. That is a huge difference. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. What did it say, 25? More than that. Because if I go here, then these 5 stones are also not alive. So we'll say 10 value of 10 for this, but it's a threat, so you half it because it's a future move. So 5 points. That means it's a 30-point mistake, more or less. Well, this is getting into the hundreds. I wonder if this is where the mistakes are. Okay, so this is move 105. Which is it? Yeah, 105. First blunder. Boom, there we go. So if you look for the blunder, you can see 105, and you check what the AI will say, which I haven't added yet, but the idea is like it'll show you like something urgent, some urgent move. And 105, 107, 109, 111, if it repeats over and over, I got to figure out how to catch that. But the idea being is you're missing it over and over. So let's see how long this takes. Looks like both players are missing it over and over and over. It's just there. So definitely a big thing. If you see something repeated over and over and over, like if you see 105, 107, 109, 111, and they're all the same recommended move, they're all the same move, then that's a good thing to take into account and be like, okay, what does this mean? Is this something I can learn from? Is it something I can understand? In this case, I think it's a simple capture race. So if you say, oh, I missed the capture race for like 10 moves in a row, go do capture race problems. That's what the app is for. We can just do capture race go problems. And I think that will be a good thing here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I don't want to go over the whole game because I spent so much time in this bottom right corner and the video is already long enough. But yeah, just wanted to show off this feature and the stuff that I am working on right now. Still got a ways to go, but hopefully you guys will be enjoying the site. Shout out to the membership. I am able to do this full time thanks to the people who are subscribed. And basically, if you are subscribed to SumegoDragon.com, you get to play, you get to review, you get to do unlimited puzzles. And sneak peek about something. I haven't made this obvious enough yet, but for those of you who are subscribed, if you click on this little stats button right here, once you have done enough Go problems, this goes to a recently missed mistakes list. So once you have like 50 to 100 recently missed moves, there's actually a generate practice list button right here. And I realized that people didn't know that this was here. So hopefully those of you who are subscribed and have unlimited problems will make use of this button. But this basically is how your performance is with your mistakes. So mine is definitely life and death. The 5-point eyes, I let some like beginners play with my account in order to show off the app, so it's not perfectly accurate, but a lot of my weaknesses is life and death. And so this was actually making eyes and taking eyes. And then when I would click the generate practice list, it would base it off of this graph and this graph. It would take like the most commonly missed and the commonly missed categories, shuffle up a list for you, and provide you with a list. That's the way this button works. And I'm really proud of it, but not many people use it, and I think it's because it's not obvious that it's there. Yeah, so now you guys know that. But with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for it being so long, but hopefully it was educational, helpful, and I will see you guys next time.